The warning ignored. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to discuss the most pressing matter in recent memory. The central podium, usually reserved for the most esteemed speakers, was occupied by a small gray-skinned being with large dark eyes. Despite its diminutive stature, the creature commanded attention as it addressed the assembly. Esteemed colleagues, the being's voice echoed through the vast hall. I come before you today with a warning of utmost importance. We have discovered a new species on a blue planet in the outer reaches of the Orion Arm. They call themselves humans, and they represent a threat unlike any we have encountered before. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Many leaned forward, intrigued by the dire tone of the speaker. Others scoffed, dismissing the notion that a newly discovered race could pose any real danger to the established galactic order. The gray being continued, its voice growing more urgent. These humans possess a unique combination of traits that make them exceptionally dangerous. They are adaptable, resilient, and most worryingly, unpredictable. Their history is rife with conflict, yet they have survived and thrived. They have split the atom, walked on their moon, and developed artificial intelligence in a mere fraction of the time it took most of us. A towering blue-skinned alien with 4 arms rose from his seat. Preposterous, he bellowed. How could such a young species be a threat to us? We, the Zorax, have conquered hundreds of worlds. We fear no one, least of all some primitive apes who have barely left their cradle. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of agreements and rebuttals. The gray being waited patiently for the noise to subside before speaking again. It is precisely this attitude that makes humans so dangerous. They are constantly underestimated, yet they possess a drive to prove themselves that borders on manic. I implore you all, fear the humans. Avoid contact. For if we engage them, I fear the galaxy will never be the same. As the warning echoed through the chamber, most delegates dismissed it as fear-mongering. They couldn't fathom how a species so new to the galactic stage could pose any real threat. Little did they know, their dismissal would set in motion a chain of events that would reshape the cosmos. Thousands of light years away, on a bustling space station orbiting Earth, Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport, gazing at the blue marble below. At 35, she was one of the youngest officers to command an interstellar vessel, a testament to humanity's rapid advancement in space technology. Captain, a voice called from behind her. The new propulsion system is ready for testing. We await your orders. Sarah turned to face her first officer, a tall, dark-skinned man named Kwesi Okafor. Excellent work, Kwesi. Inform the crew we'll be departing in 1 hour. It's time we pushed beyond our solar system. As Sarah made her way to the bridge, excitement bubbled within her. Humanity had made incredible strides in the past few decades, developing technologies that were once thought impossible. The new propulsion system promised to take them further into the cosmos than ever before. Little did Sarah know that her mission would catalyze humanity's introduction to the wider galactic community, and the conflicts that would follow. On the other side of the galaxy, aboard the flagship of the Zorax fleet, Supreme Commander Grokthar received a report of unusual energy signatures emanating from a previously unexplored sector. What do you make of it, Science Officer? Grokthar's deep voice rumbled through the command center. The Science Officer, a slender Zorax with cybernetic enhancements, studied the readouts. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our database, Commander. They suggest a highly advanced form of propulsion. Grokthar's 4 eyes narrowed. Impossible. We are the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. No one could possess technology unknown to us. Perhaps, the Science Officer ventured cautiously, we should investigate. The Galactic Council did warn about a new species. Enough. Grokthar slammed one of his massive fists on the arm of his command chair. I will not entertain tales of bogeymen from some backwater planet. We are Zorax. If these energy signatures indicate a new civilization, then it is our duty, and our right, to subjugate them and take their technology for ourselves. The Science Officer bowed, knowing better than to argue. "As you command, Supreme Commander. Shall I set a course for the source of the signals?" Grokthar nodded, a predatory grin spreading across his face. "Yes, prepare the fleet for combat. Whatever we find there, we will crush beneath our might." The galaxy will once again tremble at the name Zorax. As the massive Zorax warships engaged their faster-than-light drives, setting course for Earth, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. Humanity, blissfully unaware of the larger cosmic community and the dangers lurking in the void, was about to face its greatest challenge. The warning had been given, but those who needed to hear it most had turned a deaf ear. Now, as two civilizations hurtled towards each other across the vast expanse of space, the true test of humanity's potential was about to begin. In the coming days, weeks, and months, the galaxy would learn why the Galactic Council had urged them to fear humans. But by then, it would be too late. The die was cast, and the cosmic game of survival was about to change forever. First contact gone wrong. The U.S. Horizon, Earth's most advanced starship, glided silently through the inky blackness of space. Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. The stars streaked by in brilliant lines of light as the ship's experimental propulsion system pushed them further from Earth than any human had ever ventured. "Status report, Queasy," Sarah called out, her voice steady despite the excitement bubbling within her. First Officer Queasy Okafor consulted his console. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're maintaining velocity at 99.9% the speed of light. At this rate, we'll reach Alpha Centauri in 3 days." A cheer erupted on the bridge. What would have once taken thousands of years was now reduced to mere days. Humanity had truly entered a new era of space exploration. But their celebration was short-lived. "Captain," the sensor officer, Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, called out urgently, "I'm detecting multiple large objects decelerating from FTL speeds directly ahead of us." Sarah's training kicked in immediately. "Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Queasy, bring us out of FTL. Yuki, full sensor sweep. I want to know what we're dealing with." The ship dropped out of FTL, the star lines on the view screen resolving into pinpricks of light. And there, looming before them, were 5 massive vessels unlike anything they had ever seen. "My God," Queasy whispered, his eyes wide with awe and fear. The alien ships were colossal, easily dwarfing the horizon. Their hulls were a deep metallic blue, covered in strange, glowing sigils. As the crew watched, panels on the ships slid open, revealing what were unmistakably weapon ports. "Captain," Yuki's voice was tense, "we're being hailed." Sarah took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. This was it. First contact. The moment humanity had dreamed of for centuries. "On screen," she ordered. The view screen flickered, and the bridge crew found themselves face to face with an alien. It was massive, blue-skinned, with 4 arms and 4 piercing eyes. When it spoke, its voice was deep and guttural, translated by the ship's advanced linguistic algorithms. "Primitive creatures," the alien growled, "I am Supreme Commander Grokthar of the Zorax Empire. Your planet and all its resources now belong to us. Surrender your vessel and prepare to be boarded." Sarah's mind raced. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. But she was a Starfleet captain, trained to handle the unexpected. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. There's no need for—" "Silence," Grokthar roared. "We do not negotiate with lesser beings. You will submit or be destroyed." The transmission cut off abruptly. Sarah turned to her crew, her face set with determination. "Well, it seems diplomacy is off the table. Tactical, what are we dealing with?" The tactical officer, a burly man named Ivan Petrov, quickly analyzed the data. "Their ships are heavily armed and shielded, Captain. Our weapons might as well be pea shooters against them." But he added with a grim smile, Their tech seems to be based on principles we understand, just more advanced. Sarah nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. Queasy, get me engineering. Yuki, I need detailed scans of their shield frequencies. Ivan, prepare to modulate our phasers to match those frequencies. As the crew scrambled to obey, the Zorak ships opened fire. The horizon rocked under the barrage, its shields flaring brightly. Shields at 60% and dropping. Ivan called out, "Evasive maneuvers." Sarah ordered, "Yuki, do you have those frequencies?" "Yes, Captain. Transmitting to tactical now." Sarah leaned forward in her chair. "Ivan, target their lead ship's primary weapon array. Fire when ready." The horizon's phasers lashed out, a beam of concentrated energy that seemed pitiful compared to the Zorak's weaponry. But when it struck the alien ship, it passed through the shields as if they weren't there, striking the hull directly. A massive explosion bloomed on the side of the Zorak's vessel. "Direct hit," Ivan shouted triumphantly. "Their primary weapons are offline." On the Zorak's flagship, Grukthar roared in rage and disbelief. "Impossible. How could these primitives penetrate our shields?" The science officer spoke up hesitantly. "Supreme Commander, it appears they've analyzed our shield frequencies and modulated their weapons accordingly." "It's unprecedented." Grukthar's 4 eyes narrowed dangerously. "You told me they were primitive." "By our standards, they are," the science officer stammered. "But their adaptability, it's remarkable. They've done in minutes what should have taken years of study." Back on the horizon, Sarah was pressing their advantage. "Ivan, transmit the shield frequency data to our torpedo guidance systems. Target their engines and fire at will." A spread of photon torpedoes erupted from the horizon, each one passing effortlessly through the Zorak shields and detonating against their hulls. 2 of the alien ships lost power, drifting helplessly in space. Grukthar watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically disabled by a single enemy ship. "All ships, concentrate fire on the human vessel," he bellowed. The remaining Zorak ships poured fire into the horizon. The human ship's shields buckled under the assault, but Sarah wasn't finished yet. "Queasy, initiate Protocol Omega," she ordered. Queasy's eyes widened. "Captain, that's untested technology." "No time like the present," Sarah replied grimly. "Do it." Queasy nodded and input a complex series of commands. Suddenly, the space around the horizon seemed to ripple and distort. The Zorak's weapons fire began to curve around the ship, missing it entirely. On the Zorak's flagship, alarms blared. "Supreme Commander," the science officer cried. "The human ship. It's bending space-time around itself. Our targeting systems can't compensate." Grukthar stared at the viewscreen in disbelief. The human ship now sat in the center of what looked like a bubble in space, completely untouchable. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Ivan, target their flagship's bridge. Let's end this." A single, perfectly aimed phaser blast lanced out from the horizon, punching through the Zorak's flagship's shields and striking its command center. The massive ship's lights flickered and died. For a moment, there was silence on the horizon's bridge. Then, Yuki spoke up. "Captain, we're being hailed. It's a surrender signal." Sarah let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "Open a channel." When Grukthar's battered face appeared on screen, she spoke firmly. "This is Captain Chen. Do you yield?" The Zorak's commander's voice was a mixture of rage and grudging respect. "We yield, but know this, human. This is not over. The Zorak's empire spans thousands of worlds. We will return, and next time, we will not underestimate you." As the transmission cut off, and the Zorak ships limped away, Sarah turned to her crew. "Well done, everyone. But our job's not finished. We need to get back to Earth and warn them. The galaxy's a lot more crowded and dangerous than we thought." As the horizon set a course for home, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and apprehension. Humanity had won its first interstellar battle, but at what cost? They had made a powerful enemy, and the peace they had known was over. The warning of the Galactic Council echoed in the void. Fear the humans. But now, perhaps, it was humanity that had reason to fear what lurked in the depths of space. The true test was yet to come. The human counterattack. In the months following the Horizon's encounter with the Zorax, Earth had transformed. The once peaceful planet now buzzed with frantic activity as humanity prepared for what they knew was coming. War. Admiral John Way stood in the newly constructed Lunar Command Center, overlooking the vast shipyards that now dominated the moon's surface. Sleek warships, each incorporating technology reverse-engineered from the damaged Zorax vessels left behind after the first battle, stood ready for launch. Status report, John barked, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays surrounding him. Dr. Amelia Rodriguez, Earth's leading genotechnologist, stepped forward. The integration of Zorax shield technology with our own systems is complete, Admiral. Our ships now have 5 times the defensive capability of anything we've built before. But that's not all. She waved her hand, and the holographic display shifted to show a strange, spherical device. This is what we're calling the quantum entanglement drive. It's based on the space-time manipulation technology Captain Chen used to evade Zorax weapons. With this, our ships can effectively teleport short distances in combat. Zhang nodded approvingly. Excellent work, Doctor, and offensive capabilities. This time, it was General Marcus Okonkwo who answered. The burly Nigerian man pulled up schematics of a massive cannon. We've developed the Nova Cannon, sir. It harnesses the power of artificial micro-singularities. One shot can tear a dreadnought in half. As the military leaders continued their briefing, halfway across the solar system, the early warning system suddenly blared to life. Admiral, a young lieutenant called out. Multiple Zorax signatures detected entering the system. It's an invasion fleet, sir. Zhang's face hardened. So, they've returned as promised. How many? Over 1,000 ships, sir. At least 10 times what we have. The room fell silent. The odds were overwhelming. But humanity had spent months preparing for this moment. Zhang straightened his uniform. Send out the call. All ships to battle stations. It's time to show these Zorax what humans are truly capable of. As Earth's fleet mobilized on the bridge of the Zorax flagship, Supreme Overlord Krasnok, Grukthar's superior, watched with disdain as they approached the human homeworld. These puny creatures dared to humiliate our advance force, Krasnok growled. We will crush them utterly and take their world as our own. But as the Zorax fleet entered weapons range, they were met with a sight that gave even the battle-hardened aliens pause. The space around Earth rippled and distorted, and suddenly, hundreds of human ships simply appeared, as if from nowhere. Before the Zorax could react, space itself seemed to tear open as the humans fired their Nova cannons. Massive Zorax dreadnoughts were ripped apart, their debris scattering across the void. Krasnok roared in fury. Impossible. How could they have advanced so quickly? All ships opened fire. The space between Earth and Mars lit up with energy weapons and explosions as the two fleets clashed. But the human ships, employing their new quantum entanglement drives, blinked in and out of existence, making them nearly impossible to hit. On the bridge of the UES Defiant, the successor to the Horizon, Captain Sarah Chen watched the battle unfold. Tactical. Target the enemy flagship. Let's cut the head off this snake. The Defiant's Nova Cannon charged, the air around the barrel shimmering with barely contained energy. With a blinding flash, it fired, the beam of concentrated gravitational energy lancing across space. On the Zorax flagship, alarms blared. Evasive maneuvers. Krasnok bellowed, but it was too late. The beam struck, and the massive ship began to crumple in on itself, crushed by the artificial singularity. As the flagship imploded, taking the Zorax Supreme Commander with it, chaos erupted among the alien fleet. Without central leadership, their formation broke apart, individual ships either continuing to fight or attempting to flee. Admiral Zhang's voice crackled over the comms. All ships press the advantage. Drive them out of our system. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was clear. Despite their superior numbers, the Orcs were outmatched by human ingenuity and determination. By the time the last alien ship jumped to FTL, fleeing the solar system, nearly 3/4 of the Orcs fleet lay in ruins. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Sarah slumped in her captain's chair, exhausted but triumphant. "Status report," she managed. Her first officer, Queasy, looked up from his console, his face a mixture of disbelief and joy. We did it, Captain. The Orcs have been repelled. Earth is safe." A cheer went up across the bridge, echoed throughout the fleet as the news spread. Humanity had faced its first true interstellar threat and emerged victorious. But Sarah knew this was only the beginning. "Send a message to Admiral Zhang," she ordered. Tell him we're ready to take the fight to them." As the remnants of the human fleet regrouped around Earth, the mood was one of cautious celebration. They had won a great victory, but at a cost. Many ships had been lost, many lives sacrificed, and they all knew that the Orcs would not take this defeat lightly. In the days that followed, Earth's leaders debated their next move. Some argued for a purely defensive stance, to fortify the solar system against future attacks. Others, emboldened by their victory, pushed for an offensive campaign, to strike at the heart of the Orcs Empire before they could regroup. In the end, a compromise was reached. Earth would expand its sphere of influence, establishing outposts and colonies in nearby star systems. They would create a buffer zone, a line of defense against future invasions, but they would also send out exploratory fleets to map the galaxy and perhaps find allies in their fight against the Orcs. As Sarah Chen prepared to lead one of these expeditions into the unknown, she couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement mixed with trepidation. Humanity had proven itself a force to be reckoned with, but they had also painted a target on their backs. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but also dangers beyond imagination. And as Earth's ships set out into the cosmic ocean, one thing was certain: the legend of humanity was only just beginning to be written in the stars. Unexpected alliances. 5 years had passed since humanity's decisive victory over the Orcs invasion fleet. Earth's expansion into nearby star systems had proceeded at a breakneck pace, driven by a mixture of scientific curiosity and military necessity. Colonies now thrived on terraformed worlds, while massive space stations served as forward operating bases for Earth's ever-growing fleet. Captain Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on the observation deck of Starbase Arcturus, the crown jewel of humanity's extrasolar installations. The massive structure orbited a red dwarf star some 20 light-years from Earth, serving as both a military stronghold and a hub for diplomatic relations with the handful of alien species humanity had encountered in their explorations. Sarah's comm badge chirped, breaking her reverie. "Admiral," came the voice of her aide, "the Galactic Council delegation has arrived." Sarah took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. This meeting could change everything. "On my way," she replied, striding towards the conference room. As she entered, she was greeted by a sight that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Around the table sat representatives from a dozen different alien species, each unique and strange in their own way. At the head of the table stood the familiar figure of the small, gray-skinned being who had first warned the Galactic Council about humanity. "Greetings, Admiral Chen," the alien said, its large eyes blinking slowly. "I am Zarthal, Senior Counselor of the Galactic Alliance. We have much to discuss." As the meeting progressed, it became clear that the galaxy's political landscape had shifted dramatically in the wake of humanity's victory over the Orcs. Many races, long oppressed by the Orcs Empire, saw humans as potential liberators. "The Orcs have been the scourge of our galaxy for millennia," a reptilian alien hissed. "None dared to stand against them. Until you, a being of pure energy, shimmering like a star, added its thoughts. Your species' rapid technological advancement is unprecedented. In mere years, you've achieved what takes most races centuries. Sarah listened carefully, her mind racing with the implications. We appreciate your kind words, she said diplomatically, but we're not looking to become the galaxy's new overlords. We simply want to ensure the safety of our people and our allies. Zarthal nodded approvingly. A wise stance, Admiral. But the fact remains that your actions have upset the balance of power in our galaxy. The Zorax are wounded, but far from defeated. They are rallying their forces for a counterattack, not just against Earth, but against any who would ally with you. The room fell silent as the weight of Zarthal's words sank in. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes scanning the assembled aliens. Then what do you propose? An alliance, Zarthal said simply. A coalition of free worlds, with humanity at its core. Your military prowess combined with our diverse technologies and resources could create a force capable of finally breaking the Zorax's hold on the galaxy. The next few hours were a flurry of discussion, negotiation, and planning. By the time the meeting adjourned, the framework for a new interstellar alliance had been laid out. Earth would provide military leadership and share its advanced propulsion and weapons technology. In return, their new allies would offer resources, scientific knowledge, and access to regions of space previously unknown to humans. As the alien delegates filed out, Zarthal lingered behind. I must confess, Admiral, the alien said softly, when I first warned the Council about your species, I feared you would become conquerors like the Zorax. I'm pleased to see I was wrong. Sarah smiled wryly. The night is still young, Counselor, but we'll do our best to prove your fears unfounded. As news of the alliance spread, reactions across Earth and its colonies were mixed. Many welcomed the idea of galactic cooperation, seeing it as the fulfillment of humanity's long-held dreams of peaceful contact with alien life. Others were more cautious, wary of entangling Earth in conflicts beyond its borders. In the following months, the exchange of knowledge and technology between Earth and its new allies accelerated at an unprecedented rate. Human scientists worked alongside alien counterparts, unlocking secrets of the universe that had eluded both for centuries. On a secret research station orbiting a neutron star, Dr. Amelia Rodriguez collaborated with a team of Quantari, a race of hyper-intelligent beings who existed partially in higher dimensions. Together, they made a breakthrough that would change the course of the war. It's called the Nexus Drive. Amelia explained to a rapt audience of human and alien military leaders. By tapping into the quantum foam that underlies our reality, we can create stable wormholes, allowing for instantaneous travel across vast distances. The implications were staggering. With this technology, the Alliance could strike anywhere in Zorax space without warning, then vanish before a counterattack could be mounted. But even as the Alliance grew stronger, the Zorax were not idle. Reports from deep cover agents and long-range sensors painted a grim picture. The Empire was mobilizing on a scale never before seen, conscripting subject races and strip mining entire worlds to fuel their war machine. In a secure bunker deep beneath the Martian surface, Earth's military leadership gathered to plan their next move. Admiral Zhang, his hair now more gray than black, addressed the assembled officers. "Make no mistake," he said gravely, "this will be a war unlike any in human history. The fate of not just our world, but countless others, hangs in the balance. But I have faith. Faith in our strength, our ingenuity, and our newfound allies." As the meeting concluded and strategies were set in motion, Sarah found herself once again on an observation deck, this time watching as a massive fleet of human and alien ships assembled in high orbit around Mars. Each vessel was a testament to the unprecedented cooperation between species that had, until recently, never known of each other's existence. The comm system crackled to life, and a familiar voice filled the air. "This is Captain Kwesi Okafor of the UES Horizon Iod to all ships. Prepare for Nexus jump to Zorax Prime in T-minus 10 minutes. Sarah closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. This was it. The final push, the decisive battle that would determine the future of the galaxy. As she turned to head to her own command ship, she couldn't help but marvel at how far humanity had come. From a single world, isolated and alone, to the linchpin of a galactic alliance. The warning to fear humans had been prophetic, but not in the way anyone had expected. Humanity's greatest strength had turned out to be not its capacity for violence, but its ability to unite, to inspire, and to imagine a better future for all. As the fleet prepared to jump into the unknown, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Whatever the outcome, humanity had already changed the galaxy forever. And they were just getting started. The final confrontation. The vast emptiness of space around Zorax Prime suddenly erupted with activity as hundreds of wormholes winked into existence. From these shimmering portals emerged the combined fleet of the Galactic Alliance, a breathtaking array of ships representing dozens of species, all united under the banner of freedom. On the bridge of the UES Intrepid, Admiral Sarah Chen watched as the massive Zorax defense fleet came into view. Thousands of ships, from nimble fighters to city-sized dreadnoughts, formed a seemingly impenetrable wall between the Alliance and the Zorax homeworld. All ships, Battle Formation Delta, Sarah commanded, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. Remember your training and trust in each other. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for every world that has suffered under Zorax tyranny. As if responding to her words, the Alliance fleet smoothly shifted into position. Human vessels, their hulls gleaming with quantum entanglement drives, took the vanguard. Behind them, the crystalline ships of the Aethery pulsed with barely contained energy, while the organic vessels of the Axalar undulated like massive spaceborne jellyfish. For a moment, there was an eerie silence as the two fleets faced each other across the void. Then, with a flash of energy weapons and the silent bloom of nuclear fire, the battle was joined. The space between the fleets became a maelstrom of destruction. Zorax ships, still numerically superior, pressed forward with brutal efficiency. But the Alliance fleet, empowered by their shared technologies, proved a far more formidable opponent than the Zorax had anticipated. Human ships blinked in and out of existence, their quantum entanglement drives allowing them to appear within the Zorax formation, unleash devastating barrages, and vanish before the enemy could respond. Aethery vessels projected massive energy fields, absorbing Zorax fire and redirecting it back at the attackers. Solar bioships released clouds of corrosive spores that ate through Zorax hull plating like acid. On the Zorax flagship, Supreme Overlord Krasnok watched in growing horror as his supposedly invincible fleet was slowly but surely pushed back. Impossible, he roared, his four eyes blazing with fury. How can these lesser races stand against the might of the Zorax Empire? His science officer, trembling in fear, tried to explain. My lord, their technology. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. They're not fighting as individual species, but as a single coordinated force. Each race complements the other's strengths and covers their weaknesses. Krasnok's response was to vaporize the unfortunate officer with his personal disruptor. Then we shall show them the true meaning of Zorax might. Prepare the Worldbreaker. Deep within the massive flagship, a weapon of unimaginable power began to charge. The Worldbreaker, capable of shattering planets, was the Zorax's ultimate trump card, never before used in actual combat. Back on the Intrepid, alarms blared as sensors detected the massive energy buildup. Admiral, Queasy's voice came over the comm. The Zorax flagship is powering up some kind of super weapon. Energy readings are off the charts. Sarah's mind raced. They hadn't anticipated this level of firepower. All ships, concentrate fire on that flagship. We need to take it out before. Her words were cut off as a blinding beam of energy lanced out from the Zorax vessel, cutting through the Alliance fleet like a hot knife through butter. Dozens of ships, including several human vessels, were vaporized instantly. For a moment, it seemed as if all hope was lost. But then, something unexpected happened. The Quantary, those hyperdimensional beings who had helped develop the Nexus drive, made their move. Massive Quantary vessels, appearing like fractal patterns in the fabric of space-time itself, emerged from higher dimensions. They positioned themselves between the Alliance fleet and the Zorax flagship, their very presence warping reality around them. When the Worldbreaker fired again, its beams struck the Quantary ships and vanished. The energy was shunted into another dimension, rendered harmless. This was the opening the Alliance needed. All ships, Sarah commanded, her voice ringing with determination. Focus all firepower on the Zorax flagship. This ends now. The combined might of the Alliance fleet, from Nova cannons to exotic energy weapons beyond human understanding, converged on a single point. The Zorax flagship's shields held for a moment, then failed catastrophically. The massive vessel broke apart, taking Supreme Overlord Krasnok and the Worldbreaker with it. With their leadership destroyed and their ultimate weapon neutralized, the remaining Zorax fleet's resistance crumbled. Some ships fought to the bitter end, while others fled into deep space, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. As the last echoes of battle faded, a stunned silence fell over the Alliance fleet. They had done it. The seemingly invincible Zorax Empire had been defeated. In the days that followed, the Alliance's victory rippled across the galaxy. Subjugated worlds threw off their Zorax oppressors. Long-hidden resistance movements emerged from the shadows. The age of Zorax dominion was over. On Zorax Prime itself, Alliance forces discovered a civilization in shock. Many ordinary Zorax, it turned out, had been as much victims of their leadership's warmongering as the rest of the galaxy. The task of rebuilding and reintegrating Zorax society into the galactic community would be long and challenging, but it was a challenge the Alliance was prepared to face. Months later, in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, now expanded to include representatives from Earth and other former Zorax-controlled worlds, Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the central podium. The room was packed, with delegates from hundreds of species in attendance and billions more watching the proceedings via faster-than-light broadcasts. Today, Sarah began, her voice carrying the weight of all humanity had experienced since that fateful first encounter with the Zorax. We stand at the dawn of a new era, an era of cooperation, of shared knowledge and resources, of mutual defense against the dangers that lurk in the cosmic dark. She paused, looking out over the assembled beings, former enemies, new allies, and old friends alike. But let us not forget the lessons of the past. The Zorax rose to power because the galaxy was divided, because too many chose to look away from injustice as long as it didn't affect them directly. We must do better. We must be better. As Sarah's speech concluded and the chamber erupted in applause, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. The warning to fear humans had set in motion a chain of events that reshaped the galaxy. But in the end, it wasn't fear that had saved them all. It was hope, cooperation, and the indomitable human spirit that had inspired so many others to stand up and fight for a better future. As she stepped down from the podium, Sarah knew that the greatest adventures and challenges still lay ahead. But whatever the universe had in store, humanity and its allies would face it together, united in their diversity, stronger for their differences, ready to write the next chapter in the grand cosmic story. The galaxy had indeed learned to fear humans, not for their capacity for destruction, but for their unparalleled ability to unite, adapt, and overcome any obstacle in their path. And in that fear, a new respect and admiration had been born, ushering in an age of unprecedented peace and discovery across the stars.